When this topic came up, we had a lot of questions, a lot of feedback. One of the things is, why are people being charged 1 year, 2 years upfront in rent when the Rent Act says something different?
Okay.
Secondly, why is it that landlords can just wake up and increase the rent without notice? And then what is the cap? What is the ceiling per year for them to be able to increase that? And then the other, well, let's address those two things first. I'll have you touch on that, and then we will talk to you about that as well.
Okay, so the law talks about all that you've mentioned. It's lack of knowledge. And what the Bible says, lack of knowledge, my people perish. Okay, we are trying. We know it's our responsibility to advocate, to sensitize, and to educate the people. So we are trying. But what the law talked about rent advance, when you get to section 25 of the Act, it has categorized two kinds of advance payment. We have short tenancy and long tenancy. Currently, what we have in the law is that if it's a short tenancy, the landlord has no right to demand more than 1 month rent advance. If it's a short tenancy.
What do you mean?
That short tenancy is a tenancy that does not go beyond 6 months. Okay. If it goes beyond 6 months, the law considers it as long-term tenancy. And that aspect, the law specifies that the landlord has no right to demand more than 6 months rent advance.
Okay.
As we start educating people, we've seen that there's a lacuna, there's a gap in the law. What that means is that the law forbids landlord from The law forbids landlord from demanding more than 6 months rent advance if it's a long-term tenancy.
Okay.
The underlying word there is demand.
Right.
And because it's a law, nothing has been specified that the landlord cannot receive or take more than 6 months rent advance. So that's where the gap is. And that a lot of landlords are bypassing this and charging people more than that. We've been hearing of all those cases, but the rule of the game at the court is evidence. Because the landlord has not been forbidden from receiving, if you come before any rent officer and you cannot prove that when I went, it's the landlord who demanded it, then it will be very difficult for us as part of our investigation to lay the landlord before the magistrate for any punishment to be done. So what we want to use to cure this is that my brother mentioned the review of the law. We want to cap it that if you receive or you demand more than the required amount or the required period, both will be liable before the law. As we speak now, the tenant can decide to pay 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. Nothing forbids the tenant from paying, and nothing forbids the landlord from receiving. The only restriction in the law is that the landlord should not demand more than 6 months rent advance if it's a long-term tenancy, or more than 1 month rent if it's a short-term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
That's what we want to cure through the review of the law.